to me, the biggest story in America is not the Russian boogeyman. Sorry to tell Hillary Clinton, Neera Tanden, and the rest. To me, the biggest story is something called water. If you're not familiar with that, water is this liquid that you drink and it replenishes your organs and helps you grow and, you know, does a lot of very important things for your body. It helps people live longer. It helps people have energy. It's a very important nutrient. And unfortunately, we're having crazy amounts of water poisoning. And I call it poisoning because when industrial contaminants and nuclear waste and waste products from the manufacturing of products go into your water and you drink it, you can have serious health problems. I wouldn't call that a minor nuisance. I would call that being poisoned because you're not willingly consuming these contaminants. You are literally being poisoned by them, by a government that doesn't give a shit and corporations that doesn't give a shit about your health. And one of the major contaminators of this poison is DuPont. DuPont is a major contributing to the poisoning because DuPont has manufactured a lot of very toxic chemicals that are not only going out into the air, but going into people's water, drinking water, that is. And DuPont has had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in legal settlements for contaminating water sources, for causing people cancer, and all those things. So now DuPont, and I covered DuPont's contamination in North Carolina while I was at the Young Turks. DuPont, which spun off into a new company called Chemours, the byproduct of during the process of making Teflon, which is, you know, the non-stick cookware, they were dumping one of the waste products that comes from that process into the Cape Fear River in North Carolina. And the byproduct of that is called Gen X, and it's a cancer-causing chemical that they were dumping in to the river there. It's a PFOA, which are PFOA, PFAS. They're cancer-causing chemicals that come from the manufacturing of things like Teflon, non-stick cookware. So it has contaminated the drinking water. It causes cancer. They had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements in the Ohio River Valley, I believe in 2016, because they caused a lot of people cancer in the Ohio River Valley from this contamination into water bodies in the Ohio River Valley. And there's lawsuits now for them dumping contaminants into the Cape Fear River for decades. So now, you know, you would think DuPont and their subsidiary, Chemours, would, you know, want to fine-tune their manufacturing process to stop dumping these cancer-causing chemicals in North Carolina water bodies, in Ohio water bodies, in various other states and cities across America. Oh no. Now they want to profit in a whole nother way off of the very contamination they are causing. There's nothing more American than profiting off of your own contamination. Unbelievable. I'm sick to my stomach. So this is great reporting, actually, by The Intercept. DuPont has spread its pollution around the world. Now it wants to filter your contaminated drinking water. Oh, what a headline. Kudos to Sharon Lerner, who does great environmental reporting at The Intercept. If I could afford her, I would. She's damn good, and I learn a lot from her. And she's in partnership with the Investigative Fund. DuPont opened a factory in Saudi Arabia last week that will produce reverse osmosis water filters. So not only is DuPont a corrupt company in America, but now they're opening up factories in Saudi Arabia who murders journalists, if you haven't noticed, the Jamal Khashoggi assassination, on top of Saudi Arabia committing genocide on Yemen. But, I digress. DuPont opened a factory in Saudi Arabia last week that will produce reverse osmosis water filters. The filters use ultra-thin membranes to remove water impurities, including PFAS, which are the chemicals I just told you about, chemicals made and used by DuPont that have caused widespread water contamination around the world. Reverse osmosis is one of the technologies that the Environmental Protection Agency recommends for reducing water contamination from PFAS chemicals, which are associated with cancer, immune dysfunction, reproductive issues, and other health problems. According to the agency's website, reverse osmosis, quote, membranes are typically more than 90% effective as removing a wide range of PFAS, including shorter chain PFAS. DuPont Water Solutions, a division of Dow DuPont, that focuses on water filtration, opened the plant with a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Jubal, Saudi Arabia, on December 3rd. Quote, milestone achievement improves direct access to potable and industrial water solutions, announced a DuPont press release about the plant, which is expected to begin production early next year. The reverse osmosis business was previously owned by Dow, which has had a production facility in Minnesota since 1977 and merged with DuPont last year. The new production plant will make reverse osmosis technology to be used by the Sadara Chemical Company Complex, a joint venture by Dow and Saudi Aramco being the largest oil company in the entire world, the country's oil and gas company. The plant's filter will also be used in Saudi Arabia and other parts of the Middle East, as well as Africa, Eastern Europe, India, China, and Southeast Asia. In addition to removing industrial pollutants such as PFAS, the membranes can desalinate seawater. Quote, this new production line is providing game-changing innovation to help municipalities, businesses, and people thrive by enabling sustainable access to clean, high-quality water, Mark Doyle, Chief Operating Officer for Dow DuPont, says. An executive from DuPont Water Solutions, who is also at the ribbon cutting, emphasized the company's role in cleaning up water contamination. Quote, we remain committed to delivering solutions that help purify and reclaim water sources, especially in areas facing water scarcity and resource challenges. Ugh, I can't read any more of this because it's such stunning. It's not even hypocrisy. It's just downright arrogance. This is the equivalent of arsonists who burn down houses for fun or profit, burning down the houses and then doing a press conference to say we're starting a company to build houses with more fireproof wood or less volatile material to fires. So you, the arsonists who are burning down the houses, you're going to then start a company to build stronger houses on top of the land that you burned down. This is the equivalent. So DuPont, which by the way, floods politicians with money, floods federal regulators with money too, has contaminated water bodies all over the country since the 1950s, 60s, 70s. You need to check what's in your water that you're drinking and your kids are drinking. If you live near a DuPont factory, you definitely need to check. So DuPont is now manufacturing reverse osmosis systems, which by the way are not cheap for you to get your own reverse osmosis. Some people said to Flint residents, well, why don't you just get reverse osmosis? Yeah, you got a couple thousand? High Tech Hobby says it's the Hunger Games. Pretty close. It's not a bad way to look at it. So reverse osmosis, not cheap. Most working people can't afford it. Definitely poor people can't afford it. But DuPont says we are part of the solution to, deliver clean drinking water. No, you're the reason the water is contaminated. And they are allowed to continue contaminating the water because they write up. They basically write out the fines they have to pay and the settlements they have to pay for water contamination as a business expense. because it's pennies on the dollar compared to the hundreds of billions of dollars DuPont has made over the decades by recklessly contaminating your water with no regard for your water. And this is not cheesy, but water is life. If you don't drink water for 5-6 days, that's bad. You could die without water, and you could die drinking contaminated enough water. Ask the people of Flint. So it's just mind-numbing. But DuPont is allowed to do this because there's no criminal penalty for these companies, just like there's no criminal penalty for these oil companies and these fossil fuel companies that spill into the water, contaminate the wildlife, cause cancer. Because it's just, hey, all right, that's the price of doing business. We'll pay the fine. Yeah, we don't want to, but we'll pay the legal fees when we settle with people that we've caused cancer. And onward. And it's allowed because we don't live in a democracy. We don't live in a republic. We live in the United Corporations of America, aka the United States of Oil.